Oh man, it has been an exciting month. I know I haven't done a whole lot of videos, but once again, it's your boy Nerdicane here, just watching a video from my boy Weaponized Nerd Rage. That he does really good videos out there. I really like his videos, and he's sort of what I want to be with my channel, but I just don't have time to be right now. He does a lot of different things, mostly gaming and in the kind of the nerd world, the nerdosphere. But he touches almost everything: TV, movies, comics, books, and he's really good at it. You should check out his channel. You can give him a subscribe. He's really good. So I went to I don't know if I mentioned it. I bought a new house. We're moving out of the city of Atlanta back into the suburbs, where one of the suburbs where I came from. So I went to check out my new comic book shop, which I'm not going to reveal, because I don't want any Twitter psychos to just go nuts or to try to dox me. But they have a really cool dollar bin, and I got this. This is the one I'm reviewing. This one's coming up. This is new, and so is Savage Sword of Conan, sort of new. Probably going to do a review on all of them. So there was talk, DNC has been doing a lot of Rob Liefeld stuff lately, talking about Rob Liefeld. And this, I'm really glad I found this, because this is a Rob Liefeld book called New Force, as you can see, obviously. But this is back when Rob Liefeld was sort of spitballing. He was just throwing things against the wall, seeing what stuck. He was doing the old Marvel method, where he was creating a bunch of characters, throwing them against the wall. And this Sasquatch character is from a book called New Men. And I forget what happened to New Men, but it was one of these series that back then Rob Liefeld would start a new book, put some people on it, and then just walk away from it. And he was creating, and he was hoping something would catch on and be big. None of it really did, because a lot of it is, look, this is basically Sasquatch from Alpha Flight with holding an Infinity Gauntlet. There's Silkworm. You look at all these characters, and they're sort of mashups of other characters, and that's what he did a lot of that back then. Here's Lex Xavier as kind of I don't know if he was the bad guy or what, but I'm gonna do that one. It's actually very, very, very 90s. It doesn't have enough pockets to be one of the great 90s books, but this one, this is called Powers. This was from Icon, which was an imprint of Marvel Comics. They sort of took their big guys, their really talented guys. David Mack was part of this, and look at this, Brian Michael Bendis. This may be another series that I do. I just, in reading this, I just came up with a title for this. I read this. This is really good. This is actually a really interesting book, and it's got an interesting concept for 2005. This came out in 2005. So I think the series that I'm going to do it's going to be called Back When They Were Trying. And I know exactly who... I know exactly the next writer that I'm going to do for Back When They Were Trying. That's a secret, but woo, man, I know that one's going to be really good. But okay, so here's the rundown of the little synopsis. This is the 13th one of the issue. This is sort of what they were starting to do in comics back then. See this scene? This is a really cool scene of the main character being, King Dingaling, doing something cool, posing. It was sort of just posing back then. But this scene right here has nothing to do with the book that's inside. Absolutely nothing. This character does not show up. Yeah. But unless it's another character, I don't know the full backstory of this book. But it kind of takes from... We've all seen The Incredibles. Superheroes are illegal, and that's the concept of it. And these cops, who I think were superheroes at one point, they're police now, who sort of police the superhero community. We'll get into it. I'll show it to you. So it starts off, and there's very Bendis things in here. There's things that he does so much now that he's no longer this Brian Michael Bendis. He's no longer the Brian Michael Bendis who really should get his own imprint and should just the act is worn thin. And I think a lot of the series, as a thing, just thinking about all these people in this new series, their best work was like over a decade ago or a decade ago, and that's sort of what this is. So it has this monologue here, and I guess this is, I don't know if this is supposed to be a comedian because he's not funny, or this was like the poetry jam back then. It was weird, stupid stuff back in the early 2000s. We were experimenting with stuff. Leave us alone. Kurt Cobain had died a few years ago, and we were experimenting. So this book is 25 pages. This dude just talking, having nothing to do, talking about liars, is 1/5 of the book. Of a 25-page book, 5 pages are devoted to this guy, who is not even a character in the book. He's just talking and blah, 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 blah. So you see, this is the thing that Bendis likes to do, is just these walls of Whedon-esque dialogue. And he does it in this as well, but it's not the cringiness. It has sort of a point to it. Look at this, 3 pages right off the bat of a character who's not even in the book talking about something not really related to the book. Yeah. So it starts off right here, and it's basically just regular suburban life. And you start to think, the way it sets it up, like these in this first page, you start to think that this is the dude who this is going to be about. But you're instantly hit with a twist, and it's a really cool twist, and I don't want to get a copyright strike. Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm not curious about it. So a superhero falls from the sky and hits him and kills him. You find out that there's some stuff to it later. So that's the whole scene, and the superhero just kind of raises up and flies away. She's a witness. I thought she was the girlfriend. Turns out she was just the neighbor across the street, and she was a witness to this. So she plays a role in this. And after that, we go right back. This is your 4th page of just blah, 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 blah. Look at this wall of text. For 2005, this was a lot of text in just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In just 5 little panels. That's a lot of talking. But, so we get here. This is the police force. This is when the story actually starts with the detectives. This is not 3 different panels. This is triplets who are like superpowered triplets. And this dude's bringing them in. I don't know how a regular cop could arrest anybody with superpowers. That's kind of a problem with the story. I'm not going to go into it. But, okay, I remember 2005. There's a lot of like heckling and sort of innuendo talking about this. And I don't know if this is a little person or just somebody drawn in really poor perspective. But back then in 2005, there were such things as HR departments. This kind of like catcalling and heckling, you would probably see professionally in the 70s. And then the 80s, we got a little more aware of it. There were more women in the workplace, more women police officers, things like that. 2005, this really wasn't a thing. It was a lot more professional with that. I was in the Air Force in the 90s, in the mid 90s to 2000. We walked on eggshells about sexual harassment all the time. So I just don't see, this is a little out of place, as far as writing. It's from a writer, somebody who's never worked in the military or police professionally. So this is where it starts. And these 3 characters, this is how women were drawn back then. You would get your book canceled for drawing women like this nowadays. It just shows how different and how insane the comic book industry has gotten right now. So it starts here. I'm sure this is another plot thread. I may track down more of this because I really, really liked it. So apparently this dude might be crazy or he might not be. So this rock killed his wife, and the rock is a protector of from some planet here to protect the Earth, but not his wife. It killed his wife. So you meet the 2 detectives, and she's got to deal with him, and he's, looks kind of like Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent from the Bruce Timm era. So once again, you get some more blah, 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 and this character sort of like internal affairs. I don't know where she fits in. This is probably stuff that you don't need to, that you won't get any explanation on this right now. So it cuts to the crime scene. I don't know if this even is out of order time-wise on the timeline, but you go to the investigation of the crime scene, and you start to see sort of the Whedon-esque dialogue in here, where, Whedon will talk about, like say two people were talking about somebody who was robbed while walking their dog. They would say, "Oh, well, what did he look like?" And the one guy would be talking about the dog, and the other person would be talking about, I forget what this is called. The other person would be talking about the robber, and then they would, have a bump and like, "Oh, what? No, I was talking about this." And it's sort of a dumb, cutesy pie little thing that can eat up a few seconds of dialogue in a TV show. But there's a lot of dialogue here and a lot of doing that. But here's the cool thing about this. This is back in 2005. If this were written today, this guy would be very bumbling and very oblivious and miss clues, whereas she would be the one on point, like finding, oh, this clue, that clue, that clue. And even if you can read it in Bendis's writing of 2018, 2019, it would be, he was a completely different writer back then. Like I said, this feels like back when he was trying. So you get a lot of this, and then once again, you get another, like, this whole dialogue is actually pretty good between the lead detective on this case, the witness, and then this is his partner, who, they have, once again, this these little beats where they're off beat, and then they get on the same page, and then well, man. So once again, 2018, 2019, these two characters right here, instant friends, instant banter, instantly besties, while he would be the bumbling kind of goofy guy. And that's the difference between 2005 and 2018, 2019. Every detective here is competent. Her, him. I'm sure the lady from the past few pages, very competent. Internal affairs, very competent. And these two women are not instant friends, and they don't even like each other. She doesn't even like her. She kind of grills her. She kind of grills her kind of hard as to what's going on, what she saw, if she might have been involved. So they go from that witness. She's the only witness. So they go from that witness into the house, and this may look like a post-it note, and it is, because there is nudity under here, and this is a Marvel imprint book with nudity in it. So they're going through the house, and they're moving the plot along, and they're really explaining the plot, and they're doing a really great job with it. So the guy lived alone, making popcorn, still had his superhero fetish, and as you sort of unveil clues, this regular beat cop here finds his secret room. So you find out that he, the victim, the guy who got killed, actually used to be a superhero. So that's it. You're hooked. That's the end. And this is the fifth. Look at this. This is the fifth page of this guy trying to def comedy jam or poetry jam. I don't know because he wasn't funny and he wasn't telling jokes. He was just talking about lying. But yeah, this is really good. This was not written for the trade, as so many things, as Bendis likes to do nowadays in 2019. He likes to write for the trade. He writes his books to where it's meant to be the trade. You're meant to buy it as a trade. This right here, 2005, Powers number 13, was meant to be read, enjoyed, and given to a friend or kept. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to sell 7,000 to 10,000, and then later on the trade would be the thing that they try to make their money off of. This was the difference between 2005 and 2018, 2019. This is the beginning. Yes, this is the beginning of the SJW. This is the beginning of the. You can see the Whedonisms of his dialogue, of the way he does dialogue, and now that I see this, Bendis is basically just comic book Whedon when. Even when Whedon used to do comic books, but that's sort of where Bendis, he's made his money off of that, and he's just kind of like a clone of that. But probably did this. I did this whole thing. I'm probably gonna get maybe a copyright strike. This is my most copyright strike worthy book. If so, whatever. I'll just redo it and I just leave some stuff out. Actually, I did leave something out. I left the nudity out because I didn't want to get a hard strike. But anyway. This is cool. I may get some more of this and follow along, but yeah, this is the difference between Brian Michael Bendis in 2005 and 2019. But I'm almost out of time. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good day.